We see in the book of Esther that Esther became queen because of favor. The goal of the Christians is to have favor with the king. So there was a queen before her. We know it's Vashti. And King Ahasuerus, he was having a feast. And he had a lot of provinces. So he ruled over 127 provinces. And when he was sent, he sent to call Vashti to come so that he can show off her beauty. She did not want to come. So his servants requested that Vashti be replaced by another person who was fair, who was going to be more humble, replaced because the example that Vashti portrayed, because she was a queen, it was going to affect the other women, and it was going to cause for the other women to be rebellious, basically. So now these different young virgins, they are getting sought for, and they're brought to this palace, and they have to be taken care of. They have to bathe in oils for 12 months, 6 months in this specific oil, 6 months in those specific oils. And in their process, they have to go before the king, bring something, and they have to see if they are going to be chosen to be the next queen. Now, it wasn't in Hadassah's mind that she was going to be chosen for this role. I'm thinking about when we're in school and the teachers may ask you, so what do you want to be whenever you grow up? Even though that question was not really asked of her, not that we know of, I'm pretty sure she did not know that one day in her life she would be a queen. She was living her life as you and I live our lives. And just like we are not in control of our life, meaning God is in full control of our life, we may have plans, we may have aspirations, we may want to do things, we may have a bucket list of wanting to do things, but God knows everything that is supposed to happen. He knows exactly what we're supposed to do. And we may not know that God wanted us to do these specific things. We may not realize that God is going to tell us to give up a lot of things or turn and go into a whole nother different direction that was not a part of our plans, because his ways is higher. His ways is greater than what we can fathom. And that's why it's necessary for us to agree with the Lord, because he knows why he made us. He knows what we are supposed to do in the earth. And if we try to choose something that's outside of his will, then that's going to make life more difficult than what it already is. So in Hadassah's mind, she was not practicing on being queen. We know that she did not have her mom and her dad. She lost them. It doesn't specify how, but Mordecai took her in as his own daughter. So we know that Mordecai was a servant of the king. And as Esther was taken, I love that she was favored amongst different people. She was favored amongst her maidens. She was favored amongst the chamberlain. She was favored. And with that, she was being helped. Like, whenever she had to stand before the king, she basically asked the servant of the king, okay, what should I get? You know the king more closely. What should I get in order to stand before him? So they seen Esther's behavior. They did not see rebellion on her. They did not see violence. They did not see ignorance in her. They seen her. They observed her manner. They observed how she was with other people. And it brought joy to their hearts. And as we are operating in our call, we are supposed to bring joy to the Father's heart. We are supposed to be a joy in the earth, a joy amongst the kingdom, and a joy as an example for the world. So, Queen Esther, now, she has become the queen, and now she has to do something again that she didn't think that she was going to do. She was placed in the position to speak up. She told Mordecai, listen, I cannot go and stand before the king, for he has not called me for these last 30 days. Everybody knows that if you're not called to stand before the king, then death can be determined against you. So, life and death is in the hand of the king. He can choose to extend his scepter towards you. He can choose to withhold his grace and his mercy. And that's why we are striving to obey. Jesus says, you are my friends if you obey my commandments. If we obey, then the Lord is going to open his hand and his heart wide to you. And then he's going to allow for you to have favor with heaven. He's going to allow for you to have favor with men. But we have to work as he wants us to. So this process that Esther had to go through, as saints of God, we have to go through our own process. And not everybody's process is going to look the same. Because, see, all these young virgins, they went through the same process. And they had to bathe in the same oils for those 6 months and then for the next 6 months. But we can see that only one of them was chosen. It reminds me of the 5 foolish virgins and the 5 wise virgins. They all were living what it seemed to be their normal lives from day in to day out, doing what they thought they should do. But again, in our times of what we feel like is considered to be normalcy, we know that we still have to prepare. In a time of peace, there's still a whole battle going on. There is still war that you do not realize or that you cannot see because you do not see the angels and the demons warring right in front of you because the Lord conceals it. But he can reveal those things to people. So even in the time whenever it seems like there is no chaos, no destruction, no war, no famine, no pestilence, we are still supposed to be getting ready because we are preparing as it looks like in the times of the times of the green tree. We need to prepare when it seems like everything is green and everything looks calm and peaceful. And no, because the times of the dry is coming. And what are we going to do in the times of the dry if we are not preparing right now? So in Matthew 25, you have, give me a second because, well, you have the separation of the sheep and the goats, but that's not what I want to talk about. You have the 5 wise, 5 foolish. And they were all supposed to be getting ready. And you have this sound that went forth, and now they're being called. What are they being called to? They're being called to approach unto the king. The young maidens who was brought, they were being called to get prepared to approach unto the king to see who was going to be chosen. So these 5 wise, 5 virgins, they were not considered 5 wise and five foolish. In the beginning, their process played out as that way. Just like you have the wheat and the tares that's growing, and you don't want to uproot it too early, because you have to know what's what. You have to know who's who. So time is going to tell. In the process of time, things are going to reveal plainly what they are. That's why it's necessary for patience. That's why it's necessary for wisdom. That's why it's necessary to understand the times and the seasons that we're in, because the Lord communicates things, and he manifests in different ways, and he talks in different ways, and he tells secrets. And you have these angels that want to, no, I want to get them now. And God is like, no, like, just hold on. I know that you're zealous after my name. I know that my holiness is on you. But if you destroy that thing right now, that thing is actually going to be a wheat. It doesn't look like it right now, but it's a wheat. And that is a tare. So these virgins, they were separated. They were divided. Again, not at first, but they took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. And as they went, the foolish virgin said unto the wise, "Can I get some of your oil?" In the 5 wise, they had to understand, this is not the time and the season for me to share anything with you. I love you. We spent time together. I don't hate you. I don't despise you. I'm not trying to be evil. But right now, the king is desiring for me to do this. And we need to be sensitive to what the will of God is. There's a lot of deceivers in our days, a lot of mockers, a lot of strange voices. There's a lot of things being shot into our minds and in our hearts, different darts, different types of communication that's supposed to manipulate your mind. And because it's supposed to manipulate your mind, we are striving to overcome what is being directed at us, pointed, shot at us, darted at us. We are striving to still be aware of what the call of Jesus is in our lives. So the 5 wise, they had to understand there is a time and a place for everything. And that's what it talks about in Ecclesiastes. Yeah, there's a time and a place. There is a reason. There's a reason for everything underneath the sun. There is. And so it's necessary that even in the midst of our days, in the midst of our moments, that we are aware of what God is wanting to communicate. God is a spirit, so he is like the wind. And he communicates in his atmospheres. He communicates. And if we're not careful, if we're not mindful, then it's easy for us to miss what he's saying. It's easy for us to not adjust to what's being required. It's easy for old prophets to tell the young prophets, hey, well, the angel of the Lord communicated this to me. Though God may have communicated to the young prophet his direction and his orders, But yes, it's easy to get distracted if we are not being intentional, if we're not being vigilant, if we are not being mindful that the enemy, he doesn't just come in one way. He tries to come in different ways, many different ways. And that's why in the New Testament, and I know I'm going throughout the whole Bible, but in the New Testament, it talks about how if we had been mindful, if people are mindful, then they will not allow for their houses to be broken into, because they're going to be mindful that there is an adversary, and the adversary is trying to take you out of the way. So we have to have our ears and our hearts open as the adversary is trying to lure people to forsake the path of light and to get on the path of darkness. We have to be mindful what God's instructions is for us. And if we are willing, he's going to reveal that to you. If you are patient, he's going to reveal that to you. So this walk, we're in a kingdom. We have a cloud of witnesses that surrounds us. But this kingdom and this run, it does require for us to be patient. It does require for us to slow down. This is not a hasty race. This is going to take our whole lives, and it is taking our whole lives. But yes, we are seeking to understand the will of God. And I'm in Ecclesiastes chapter 3. To everything there's a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to get and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. A time to rend and a time to sow. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time of war and a time of peace. What profit has he that worketh in that which he laboreth? So, yes, these virgins needed to know, these wise virgins, they needed to know what time and season they're in. At one point of their season, it may have been possible for them to share how much oil they wanted to. And they probably did not realize, okay, if I share this with you, I'm losing it, because the Lord did not put it in their minds that was going to happen. So it was okay for them to share before. It was okay for them to help before this moment. But as we are going forward in our lives, the Lord is marking people. He is marking people for life, and he's marking people for death and judgment. So we want to be found on the winning side. So when the ladies are saying, listen, I don't have any oil for you, but I know what you can do. So in their mercy, though it was already late, that was up to God. God determines when the door shuts. He determines. He orders your steps. So in their mind, in the ladies' minds, they were saying, listen, I cannot give you any oil, but I know what you probably can do. You have to go to the market and you can actually go buy some yourself. And they did. The foolish virgins, they took their advice. They went to go buy some oil because they thought they had enough time. But when they came back, and they were trying to, press and enter and knock, and they were trying to take the kingdom by force. The answer to them was, no, you're not accepted. You cannot make it. You cannot come in. You're late. Like, you had all this time. And I'm thinking about procrastination. So in school, they give you your assignments. They give you a syllabus. It's supposed to let you know the schedule of things, the things that you need. So they're teaching you the material in school. They give you the homework. They give you pop quizzes. They give you exams. And as you are going from day to day, you're supposed to be intaking the information that the teacher is giving to you. You're supposed to be doing your homework. And you have some people who, on the same day that the assignment is supposed to be turned in, they're literally doing their homework 5 minutes before class. Or they may not have been doing their homework at all, and then hope to, do extra credit in order to make up for what they did not do, so that they don't fail the class and so they don't stay back. But in the kingdom, God can restore. He can redeem time. He can restore what the locust and the cankerworm has eaten. But that's not what we're supposed to do, because, again, time is not in our hands. So because there's different seasons in the spirit realm, God is releasing things that you and I need in order to make it successfully into our next phase of life. There's things that we need as these doors in the spirit realm, as they're open from season to season, whenever He allows for that to open. There's things that He gives you that is going to give us the strength, the joy, the peace, that's going to give us the wisdom, the patience that we need. It makes up our garment. It adds to who we are. It manifests in the natural to some degree. And we need those things. And if we don't have what we need, we are going to feel that loss. We're going to feel that disappointment. We're going to feel that discouragement, because we know that we should have had something, but it's not there. It reminds me of a person who's in the world, and they don't understand that the reason why they are void is because they do not have the presence of God. So they try to smoke. They try to get into these different relationships, and however many relationships, and do whatever it takes to maintain these relationships. They would drink. They would do different things, buy as much things as they want, whatever their hearts is set to. And they still feel this emptiness on the inside of them. And they want to commit suicide. And a lot of people do. They see that even with the fake friends that they have, or these paid people who has to be there to support them, they see that, okay, I'm still not content. I'm still not fulfilled, despite the amount of money. Despite whatever I have in my possession, I'm still not satisfied. So they have this emptiness, but that emptiness, that void, is their lack of God. Not being where God wants them to be, not doing what God wants them to do. That's what they're feeling. So they try to go into that and try to mask it and cover it and do as much as they can in order to, get rid of that feeling, because that's a terrible feeling. That's a dreadful feeling. And many people would just not want to exist instead of to feel it. But little do they know that they're going to a place that's worse than the void and the emptiness that they're feeling in their souls. They're going to a place where the worms is just going to consume your flesh, that the demons are just going to keep ripping your stomachs or your throat or whatever else and tearing you to shreds. And it's just going to keep happening over and over and over again. And they're going to that place. You're going to that place. All those who do not believe and confess Jesus as Lord and Savior, they're going to that place that has real fire. We think that the fire on earth is real. Well, it's a light compared to what many people are facing now and what many people are going to face. That's why we have to strive to enter in. We have to obey. We have to press in. And the 5 wise virgins, they were doing that. Now, they did not know that today was going to be the day. The Lord says, if you hear my voice today, harden not your heart. There's a reason. There's a reason why he says that. The gospel is reaching your ears today. Salvation is reaching your hearts today. Because, again, this story of this boy, and he was supposed to, he was telling people, okay, I'm going to get saved. I'm going to get saved. I'm going to get saved. And, you know, he went to church. He heard what the pastor said, and he heard the pastor give the altar call. And somebody told him, wait, aren't you going to go get saved? Then the boy said, I am, but not today. Like, I'm going to wait. I'm going to get saved soon, though. And as he went home, and now it's Saturday night, the boy's mom is telling him, I think you should stay home tonight. I think you should stay home. I don't think you should go out. And the boy is saying, Mom, I love you. I'm about to leave. And as he is going back and forth with his mom, because his mom is telling, I think you should stay home. And the boy is like, okay, I'm going to go. I'm going to come back. And because the mom was like, aren't you supposed to be getting prepared to go to church tomorrow? And the boy was like, I'm going to go. But before I go, let me just go ahead and have fun. And the boy, he leaves his house and he goes to the club and he is partying. He is with his crew. And at one point during the night, gunshots, people start hearing gunshots, but you know, sometimes you can hear it and say, okay, that's way over there, or maybe they're trying to do that because of a celebration that's soon coming up in the world, or somebody's trying to kill an animal. But the gunshots started flying closer and closer to people, and it was hitting people. And it was flying past their heads, and it was breaking the windows, and it was just doing this. And the bullet had flew into that boy who said that he was going to get saved. So he did end up dying. And his mom found out that he died. And she was telling him not to go to the club. But before that, he was saying that he was going to come back. So he was going to go back to church and get saved. But he just had to go one last time to the club. So the mercies of God, he extends his mercies in different ways. And a person can think that they have their whole life. They can believe that they have until like 50 or 60 or 75 years old to live. And God is saying, no, you don't have that long to live. You don't even know I'm about to take you out next week. Like you don't understand that I'm about to take your life today. And the time in the season That's why it's important to understand what God is communicating. And that was just an example of, us needing to be aware, like the 5 wise virgins. It was inside of them. They had this I need to be prepared. I need to be prepared as best as I believe that I need to be, because we know that we're supposed to strive. So if we believe that we're given all, if we believe that we're pushing, the Lord can justify that, and he can cover you, and he can give you the grace, and you can be safe because the Lord his hand is on you. But that story was to communicate about the 5 foolish, how they were late. It was late for them. They could not get in. It didn't matter if they cried. It didn't matter if they, were renting their garments and they were begging God, God, please, God, why? People in hell, they're crying out to God, asking them, can I please have another opportunity? Can you send somebody to my father's house so that they can communicate it to my family members or to my friends not to come to this evil place? Listen. We have to not be fools. We don't need to be fools. We don't need to be considered unwise. So as we are going from faith to faith and glory to glory, we are supposed to be learning more and more of God. We're supposed to be learning more and more of how he operates in what he expects from us and expects from other people, expects from his earth, what he expects. He has expectations. He has expectations, and he is going to justify his name. He's going to justify his name. So, Queen Esther, she was chosen. And we know that famous line, for such a time as this. She was chosen for such a time as this. And the king extended his scepter to her. The king extend his scepter towards you as you find favor in his sight. Because she had to lay down her life. She did not know what to expect. She did not know. She specifically told Mordecai, he did not call me for these last 30 days. And we already know he doesn't care if I'm the queen. He does not care. I didn't see him for 30 days. If I go in, if anybody goes in and they're not called, they can lose their life. So, in her mind, all right, I'm going to try to do what I believe. Okay, we're going to fast. We're going to fast for 3 days, 3 nights. We're going to fast. You fast. We're going to fast over here. And then, listen, if I perish, I perish. But she was willing. She put her life on the line. She was willing. And that's what it's going to look like as we are striving, where our lives are on the line. I'm thinking about brothers and sisters all over the world that they are going through real things. They're going through their persecutions. They're going through their life. And, the Lord is faithful. He doesn't give up on them. He doesn't quit. There's been some awesome testimonies that I've heard where this man, he was in jail and he was in prison. But as he was there, he was faithful. He was committed to God, and he found a way to go underneath the ground and basically escape, to go pass out Bibles and to go talk about the kingdom of God. And then he would go back and he would return back to prison. And then he would escape and go out and go hand out Bibles and go preach the gospel and then come right back into prison. And nobody did not, the person who was watching as he's doing this, he didn't say anything to the man. So a guard did see him do that. Like, why is he just going back? Cause they can kill you if they see that you're trying to escape. They're going to shoot. They're not just going to sit there and they're going to watch you. But it reminds me, like, that guard was just watching him, like, go out and come in. And so that was a mystery. That was a wonder. Like, okay, the man is going out, but he's coming right back in. Why would he do that? In the guard's mind, he would have been like, he has some loose screws. Why would he want to come back to this place? But that's just like to show like the hand of God, like the protection of God. Like Jehoshaphat and Ahab, they were in battle. And Ahab said, I'm going to disguise myself. But Jehoshaphat, you go in with your garment, go into the battle. And when the people seen Jehoshaphat, like he began to cry out, and the Lord did not allow for the people to kill him. He allowed for those people to move from Jehoshaphat. And then Ahab was shot in his armor. He was shot by this bow and arrow. So the Lord knows how to protect. He knows how to preserve. He knows how to, as we continue to plow, as we continue to go forward, the Lord is favorable unto you as you serve. He's favorable as you are striving to be aware of the time and the season that you're in. So you are called to this time. You are called at this season for such a time as this.